What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. The sun is shining, the weather is sweet, smells like a bit of positivity in the air as well, and smiles on our faces as well. So big up to everyone out there. A bit of hope,
just a dash of hope. That's all these fans
no football, no ball's been kicked yet. Maybe that's why there's a bit of hope in the air, because we haven't seen Spurs play in a while.
As long as we don't play, then it's like we don't, Zerbi's Tottenham could be the best team in the world as long as we don't play, and that's what we got to kind of think about. We can use our imagination. Up until that first game, we're watching all the training, we're watching all the RAVE reviews and the reports. We'll get into all of that, but it's that we're in a weird kind of in between at the moment where we've appointed Zerbi, we're watching all this training and getting all these great reports, but we haven't seen us actually play yet. So right now, we're great. We're world beaters, and we're going to take the Premier League by storm.
Yeah, exactly. So it's unbelievable how much people can take from 8-minute training, 8-minute training video. We're literally going to storm the league next season and stay up this year. But just before we came on, Oxford were playing in a pivotal match against Portsmouth. Will Lancashire seemingly put Oxford ahead in the dying stage of the game, but Portsmouth, 10-man Portsmouth came back and equalised in a massive game down at the bottom. But really nice header from Will Lancashire at the back. Oh, it was bullet, wasn't it?
10th goal, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's having a great loan spell, isn't he? So really glad for him. I wonder what next season holds. Maybe a higher level championship loan. Because clearly he's very, very at home at that level. So that's really great. Any chance of a first team?
He might not need a championship loan.
Huh? Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right.
He might not need a championship loan.
It's good to know if we do go down. We've got a championship striker ready and waiting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. But we got a lot to speak about today. We're going to go through De Zerbi's training session as well. Obviously, last week we brought you the 1-minute clip that was doing the rounds on social media. We've got the full 8 minutes in all its glory, which we're going to do, which we'll go through minute by minute. But without further ado, let's get in to one of 2 Tottenham updates we have got for you today. And on the back of that training session, Alistair Gold has been reporting that the players went home with rave reviews of Roberto De Zerbi's first day of training. One at the training session telling close friends that it was outstanding, and numerous others bringing glowing reports back about the level of work, which is great to hear.
Yeah, and I think you could see that in the clips, which we'll go through later. But I think we've been so kind of restricted it feels like in our training over the past especially this season, over the past 8 months or so. It seems as though these players are desperate to get back to playing their football, training in a way that's going to get us on the front foot, training with attacking intent, being creative. And I think that's what De Zerbi, that's his kind of, that's what he knows. That is his way of playing. That's what he trains. And I think we've heard from various different players who've played under Zerbi that his training is phenomenal, and he's a very intense trainer, but he holds very high standards. And I think these players are really going to buy into it. I think these players have been they've lost out on a lot of kind of training in these methods for a long time. And I don't think what he's doing is anything kind of that the Premier League hasn't seen over the last couple of years since he's come in. But us as a football club, we've lost out on that because we've had Thomas Frank playing his way of football. And it's like these players are like dry sponges, ready to absorb all this information from De Zerbi and ready to get going. Yeah,
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I am getting excited, but it's hard to get overexcited just yet without a ball being kicked and only seeing a bit of training session. I remember hearing the same kind of narrative when Thomas Frank was first taking training sessions, and we got the dream team of Justin Cochrane and and everyone that was all the coaching staff saying, "Look, we've got these proper coaches in now. Look at this coaching session." Remember that first coaching session under Thomas Frank? Everyone was like, "Wow, we're actually being coached now," and it kind of feels like the same now.
Yeah, but we're potentially, but I think for me, what you saw, the results in terms of the football they played, the output from De Zerbi to Frank is night and day at Brighton and Brentford. It's very, very different. So as much as I think maybe Frank gave them a lot of ideas in their out of possession play, which maybe they didn't have under Ange, which is this is how we're going to be when we don't have the ball. And there probably was quite a lot of new stuff there. So probably players were like, okay, this is quite good at the start. But unfortunately, our in-possession game completely collapsed, and we didn't know what to do when we had the ball. So now it's going to be a 180 on that. It's going to be completely what we're doing on the ball, how we're manipulating the opponents, how we're controlling the game. And I think we've just been restricted of that for a long time.
Yeah.
Devoid of that, that's the word. We've been devoid of it.
Let's talk about Johan Lange and Vinai Venkatesham. Ben Jacobs says that both are now under huge pressure at Tottenham Hotspur. Both Johan and Vinai are under scrutiny, and there will be an end-of-season review. As of now, I think Vinai is safer than Johan. That's not to say he's safe, though. Sources in the sporting world indicate that Johan Lange's position at Tottenham is under significant threat, regardless of whether the team stay in the league or get relegated. And yeah, I think both these guys need to be on the chopping block. Look, we've said it a number of occasions over the course of the season. Both of them doing a horrific job at Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously, Johan's been there longer than Vinai, but yeah, look, if it was up to me, I'll put them both on the chopping blocks at the end of the season.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, he's been there longer, and as well, Vinai's in a higher position as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's always going to be Johan to go first, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Not to say that Vinai shouldn't also go, but it makes sense that Johan would be under more scrutiny because Vinai's probably going to the board saying, yeah, this Johan guy doesn't know what he's doing. Whereas who's the one holding Vinai accountable will be the Lewis family. So hopefully that happens in the summer as well, and we can get a new chairman. But I think at the end of the day, Vinai inherited Johan, didn't he? It's not like he appointed Johan.
Yeah, correct.
Him. He did get Paratici through the door, and then Paratici ended up leaving as well. Obviously, I feel like Vinai will probably stay. I feel like Vinai will be given the ability to appoint another sporting director alongside Roberto De Zerbi, because obviously we've got De Zerbi over the line. Whether that's right or wrong, I think it's wrong, but I do think that's what's going to happen, because I think as a chairman, it's very hard to be judged on footballing results in a very short amount of time. I think that's how the hierarchy will see it. I think the decisions they've made as a collective have been horrendous, but I think they'll probably give Vinai a stay of execution, and they'll probably throw Johan to the wolves. Albeit, from Johan's point of view, he was thrust into sporting director role after already being kind of having power taken away from him with Fabio's appointment. He went to this dual sporting director role where he was supposed to be taking kind of different responsibilities, with younger players, and then Paratici leaves and he's thrust into the main thing again, where he's already been kind of restricted, he's already been downgraded. So from his point of view, it's like, look, just downgrade me again, but keep me on. That's probably will be his kind of pitch. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy for him to go.
I think that they're both going to go. And the reason why I think both are going to go is because I think that the Lewis family are trying to do things in their own way now. And I think they're going to want to have a complete clean slate from what the Levy tenure was. And obviously Vinai was brought in as Daniel Levy's number 2. There is a report a bit later on, which we're going to get into, about Maurizio Pochettino saying that, hiring Pochettino they thought was a kind of nod back to the Daniel Levy era. And I just feel like they're just going to want to go completely clean slate. All these people, all these decision makers in the Daniel Levy tenure, I think they're going to go with all their own people, in my opinion.
We'll see. I mean, I don't mind that at all. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I got a feeling Vinai was put in place with a view of potentially him taking over at some point without Levy knowing. I think there was talks of maybe Charrington appointing him, but I don't know what the truth is exactly. We'll never know behind closed doors. I got a feeling Vinai will stay, though.
Well, all will be revealed.
I'm pretty happy for have a clean slate. We need to get these decision makers out, because they're not doing any good for the club. That's the reality.
We're going to talk about De Zerbi's power at Tottenham. Obviously, we heard last week that he's going to be given power that no manager probably has ever had at Tottenham, particularly under ENIC. Ben Jacobs, again, this is all on Last Word on Spurs, by the way, saying Nick Butcher and Vivian Lewis are prepared to seize control and step back to to trust in the manager and succeed in his domain. And De Zerbi's voice in recruitment will carry a lot of weight. De Zerbi will help pick the sporting director, and that shows you that he'll have some say in hiring and firing, but not as a clean cut. But it won't be as clean cut as that. They, the Tottenham board, will lean on him, and he's going to have a more defined, leaner executive team, but no veto over recruitment. Which I'm not sure what that exactly means, no veto over recruitment. But he's going to have
the final say.
He won't have the final say.
He can't veto. If it means if the board want to bring someone in, or whatever, the recruitment team want to bring someone in, they'll have discussion about it. And if they still, after those discussions, say, we're going to move forward with this, he can't veto it.
Isn't that the same? Isn't that the same as like Ange or any other manager that we had? Because he was always in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But if they wanted to move forward with someone, they would move forward with someone,
Correct.
regardless if the manager says.
Correct.
So what's the difference there?
Well, from a recruitment standpoint, no difference.
So how is he getting more power then?
I don't think previous managers had a say on who was our sporting director.
Fine, sporting director, yeah, fair. But in terms of just normal recruitment,
maybe he'll be in more of those conversations. Maybe he'll be. I don't know.
I guess that if De Zerbi has a say in who the sporting director was, they'll be very much aligned, and the sporting director will be very much aligned with De Zerbi, and they'll probably want similar players anyway.
Probably think so.
Yeah. This is interesting. We actually spoke about this when we were talking about the finances last week with Sarah, and she kind of brought this up a little bit, and it says that if Tottenham are in the Premier League, they do have a rare opportunity because of the change in financial rules. This is sort of a free hit year for Tottenham to go very big and very aggressive in the market. If they can stay up, who that sporting director is and how much they're prepared to spend is significant. Normally, you would say get Champions League football, and that can attract certain players, kick on the project. But to miss out on Europe and not be bound by the 70% squad ratio, be able to go up to 85%, which will mean Spurs will be able to go up to around 85%. And be able to add 30% more without incurring any penalty in a backhanded way. It puts Spurs in an advantageous position, but it really is a year one free hit. So being out of Europe might work in their advantage.
Yeah, financially, because as you say, you get that little bit more leeway when it comes to how much you can spend. So I think it's one thing having that advantage, and it's one thing taking advantage of it. And that's, what we've seen from Tottenham over the years. We've had financial advantages, and we've had things that if we were really serious, would take full advantage, like the big PSR headroom, which you never seem to fully take advantage of. So, look, in theory, it's good. I think Man United this summer, being out of Europe, they spent a little bit more money. I don't know if the financial rules were in place by then, but obviously, out of the Champions League, out of Europe altogether, they went on to sign Cunha and Buemo, Sesko, all for big money, and really, didn't let it get them down, the fact they were out of Europe. So I hope Tottenham do the same. I hope they strike while the iron's hot from that point of view. If we've got a 1 year free hit to really just go hammer and tong and get really big targets and splurge a bit if we can. But whether we actually do that, and do we have the money to do that as well?
The thing is, right, well, it would take a cash injection from ENIC.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing here. But the thing is, right, it's just like whenever a new manager comes in and whenever there's a new dawn, there's always something that gets spun on the PR saying Spurs are in this an amazing opportunity now, Spurs are in this great position, Spurs can do this, Spurs can do that, but we never do it.
No.
That's the problem.
Look, at the end of the day, I'll believe it when I see it. That's the reality. We've heard these things a million times, and they might all be true. But at the end of the day, if they've got nothing to show for it and there's no proof in the pudding, it's hard to get excited by all these kind of reports. And yeah, they can say we've got money to spend, and we're going to break the wage structure, we're going to spend, and we've got, there's a year possibility here we've got an advantage from the financial side of things. But are we actually going to make use of it? Are we going to bid that extra bit ahead of other clubs? Are we going to spend that little bit more on wages if another club is offering big wages? Are we going to go the extra mile? Are we going to do that? Let's wait and see.
Yeah. And last but not least, on Maurizio Pochettino, Ben Jacobs says that it's his understanding about Pochettino is that there were senior figures at Tottenham against hiring him, as it would be a nod back to the Daniel Levy era, even though it was understood it would be a popular move. Vivian Lewis is understood to be one of those against rehiring Pochettino. And look, we've all spoken about these guys taking a step back, letting the football people make those footballing decisions. So what do you make out of that?
Yeah, I mean, this was also a problem back when we looked at him. I think it was when Nuno was in charge or around that time, and we were looking to get him through the door. And again, at that point, the board was split. Some people said, yeah, we have to get him back because it was a massive mistake sacking him. And some people say, no, we have to move on from him. We sacked him for a reason. You can't go backwards. I do see both sides of the aisle here. I do see, but for me, I do think De Zerbi is more up to date with what's currently going on with football in terms of the way he plays, and I think right now he's more of a current manager. Not to say that Poch is outdated in any way. I'm just saying I think De Zerbi plays a higher level of football on the ball than Pochettino does in this current moment in time. But that's not the only thing that should go into it when you're deciding what a new manager is. There's also personality, mentality, how they're gonna. If it's a good fit with the board and the recruitment and all this kind of stuff, how the management style, all that kind of stuff, and as well how we'll create unity with the fans. And I think Pochettino ticks every other box ahead of De Zerbi for me at this current moment in time. So I'm willing to maybe take a hit from maybe tactically if you get all those other things through the door, and that's what I think Pochettino would have given us. But for me, I also said I wouldn't be waiting around for Poch. I don't think we're in a position to be waiting for a manager in the summer. Even if we wait, it's not guaranteed that we can get him. Albeit it's quite likely if we wait till after US go out and whatever, and we approach him, he'll probably say yes. Nothing's guaranteed. So the position we're in right now, if we can get De Zerbi, you get De Zerbi, and you don't wait for Pochettino. And so I'm glad they did that. Albeit they probably left it too late, so I'm glad they did that. When it comes to not wanting Poch because it's linked to Levy, I mean, the reason why Poch didn't work out he had success at Tottenham despite the fact he didn't win any trophies. If you're only judging success by trophies, yeah, he didn't win anything, but we all know he performed miracles at Tottenham. He overachieved massively. I think we probably should have won something when he was here, but at the end of the day, the reasons why we probably underachieved with the squad that we had is because of the lack of investment. Now, if they're going to promise investment and they're promising we're going to back this team and we're going to, money will be available, there's no reason why bringing Poch back couldn't work. There's no reason why he couldn't come here and, you give him a good amount of money, the recruitment's all lined up, and we can win something. You can build a similar team. So I don't see why, just because he was here under Levy, that should stain him. Because I think there are reasons you can see, look back at that time, and Levy was probably the reason we didn't go as far as we could have. So why not correct that, I think, in my opinion. So I don't know why. It's not like... I don't know what they're insinuating by saying it's harping back to the days of Levy.
I think they're basically saying they don't want to go backwards. They'd rather move forwards. They'd rather bring in their own people. But look, in my opinion, I was quite consistent in what I was saying about Pochettino, saying I'm dying for him back. I'd love to see him back, and I think he should be the number one choice to bring back as our next manager. However, having said that, you were right in what you're saying. You can't sit here and wait around and just wait to get relegated, and because that's what was going to happen if we wouldn't have hired De Zerbi. So we needed to make a change here and now. Pochettino's not available here and now. He was never going to come here and now. So I think they've made the right call. They've made the right call in throwing the book at and throwing all this money at De Zerbi, because if we would have stuck with Tudor, if we would have stuck with Frank, if we would have brought in another interim, the likelihood is we would have gone down. Look, we could still go down, but we've given our best chance of survival right now. So you can't just sit here waiting around for a manager with all your future completely up in the air. We've brought in a manager now. We've trusted him in the long term, so-called long term, given him a 5-year contract, and we've got to see how it goes.
Although part of me feels, was this the last opportunity to see a Poch return?
I don't think so. I think that opportunity is always going to arise.
I don't know. Timing always seems... I think this was the summer where timing seemed to be aligned.
But it wasn't aligned, though.
I mean, in the end it wasn't, but it seemed like it could have been if we would have waited. If we could have got to the summer, staying up and then he would have been available after USA, then all of a sudden everything would have been aligned. But obviously we were so bad we couldn't risk it. And for me, I think that's the right thing. But I feel like this might have been the last opportunity, because all of a sudden we'll see what happens with De Zerbi, but then Poch might take another job. We'll see what happens with him, and then it's timing's very important in football. And when by the time De Zerbi goes, is Poch going to be in another job?
Yeah, look.
And then then that's another opportunity.
Poch, look, let's get it right. Poch is still a relatively young manager. He's still got many years as a manager. Managers come and go, especially at Tottenham Hotspur. You know the nature. So there will be another opportunity, whether it be in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. I think there will be another opportunity, and I do think he will be back at Spurs one day. But like you said, timing is the most important thing, and the timing wasn't right. It just wasn't right. Like we couldn't wait for him. So as much as we're saying, yeah, this summer was the perfect opportunity, it wasn't the perfect opportunity because we need to do something now.
Okay.
All right. Well, that that is that Tottenham update. Let's go on to another one where we're going to be talking